welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name's Adam Cook, I'm your host as always, and with me this week is this is not going to go as well as I thought pre-podcast, but the Thor Ragnarok to my Civil War, Adam Carroll.
Oh, yeah, that's alright. Well done.
Well, is it? You see, what I'm trying to do badly is tease that I've watched Thor Ragnarok and I'm going to talk about it in the Patreon section, but I've perhaps teased that badly. The Ryu to my Ken? Does that work? Nicola Ardron's here.
Hi. I don't know, does that work?
I don't know, I'm just literally looking at Amiibo on my shelf and I saw a Ryu one and it's...
Who am I? Am I Ken? No, I'm Ryu, aren't I?
No, you're the Ryu to my Ken. And to be fair, I do play Ken, so...
Right, okay.
But that does...
I don't know whether to be offended, Adam, to be honest.
Yeah, now I've said it, it doesn't seem as much of a... Again, in my defence, I was looking at my shelf of Amiibo and Ryu is looking right at me. So, in that, and on that, in fact, I'm just going to do this every week from now on, just stare at the Amiibo, and I'm going to say, also joining us this week is the Bowser to my Princess Peach. It's Gary Bailey.
So, are you saying that I try to kidnap you every once in a while?
Well, I'm saying that there's an unrequited love from you to me, and and that my mustachioed... Is he Italian? I can't even remember if he actually is Italian anymore. Plumber, who is also the hero of this tale. This has gone way off the rails. Welcome everybody to the podcast where we're going to talk about games. I wasn't going to mention that I'm on painkillers this week, but I think now I probably should.
Yep.
I think
I have to, because otherwise I'm going to seem like I've had some sort of break. Do you know what? The last couple of weeks we've been struggling a little bit to find enough games to talk about, but trust me, that is not the case this week. And the news as well, I want to say up front, right here, I think an official God is a Geek thank you to Canadian Walmart, which we will get to later. But there is one, I was going to say massive game, but I think even as a fan of the original, I would be overselling and overstating how big the game is. But it is one of Microsoft's big exclusives. And at the time of recording, we can talk about this game in a preview sense. So right here and now, for anyone listening who's into the legal side of things, Nicola and I have been playing and are going to talk about in a preview, non-final, pre-review sense, if you like, State of Decay 2, a game which, Nicola, you were very excited to play, I believe.
Yes, I really enjoyed the first game. I was really looking forward to the second one, with the co-op elements and what have you. So yeah, I'm mad keen on playing State of Decay 2.
So the co-op element is somewhere we should start with, right? Because we've played co-op. It's not going behind the curtain or anything there. That's part of the idea of it. You play co-op, blah blah blah. And we were talking when we were playing the co-op about how the original game. Well, actually, you reminded me the original game was was it a Summer of Arcade or just an arcade game, an Xbox Live arcade game?
I believe it was in Summer of Arcade.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Microsoft, well, they did brilliant with that. I mean, I missed that. That's one thing, totally off a tangent, but one thing where digital games and retail games have all just become games, I missed that sort of summer promotional period where they had those cracking games, and then Sony followed them as well. But regardless of that, the game was then re-released as... What was it called on Xbox One?
Was it called like Day One Edition or something? That's what I seem to think. I mean, I have it, and I'm sure it's called Day One Edition, and it's basically the core game plus the expansions that were added to it. So like an endless mode.
That's right.
And an other mode, which I can't recall off the top of my head. And that was repackaged and available on Xbox One.
Yeah, and I played that quite recently, and I enjoyed it, and as I did the original, and I was like, well, I'll stop because, the sequel's out soon, and, regardless of whether Microsoft sent us codes or not, we all knew we were going to play it, because it's like every game now going into Game Pass, and, that's great. Again, this is a preview sense. I want to make that very clear. I mean, I've only played about 4 or 5 hours. I don't know where you're at time of recording, but I can't imagine it's 50,
No, about 10 hours in, just shy of 10 hours, okay. I think, now.
Okay, so where do we start? Because, look, I'll say it. So, again, and I'm not that far in, this seems very similar so far, in a preview sense, to that first game.
Yeah, I'd agree. One thing I will say, though, having played a little bit further on than you, there is definitely an assumption that you've already played the first game.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that there isn't tutorials flying up all the time, telling you the mechanics and, what you need to do and what you need to focus on, etc., because there's plenty of that. But
yes.
In terms of where you're at in the story, there is an assumption that you've at least got a passing knowledge of the first game. Because the first game started off, with no outbreak of zombies or anything like that. There's just you and your brother, I think it is, and you're in the mountains hiking. And
don't you find like a rancher's house or something, or a rancher station?
You're out hiking. You get attacked by a zombie, and I think your brother's injured, and you manage to get to the ranger station. And it's there at the ranger station that you find out that something's been going off while you've been out in the wilderness. Something's been kicking off. And that's how the game starts, doesn't it? And then it teaches you about the mechanics, and you set up a little bit of a base there, and then later on you move into a town or a churchyard, isn't it? I can't remember. Yeah. It's been a while since I have played the original. This one, you're already in. The zombie apocalypse is in full swing, which is fine, but I kind of liked how it slowly introduced the fact that this outbreak was happening, and everybody's a bit confused and what's going on, and gradually you're building up your community. This one just kind of goes bam, right, the apocalypse has happened, and you're trying to survive it, and there's already pockets of communities in and around that are already established, and you're trying to create a new one, kind of thing. So whilst you definitely don't need to have played the first game, I just feel like tonally there's an expectation that you have played the first game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because we are obviously not reviewing the game. I always get the fear with this sort of stuff, and I feel like I'm repeatedly saying preview sense, but it is a preview in case anyone's fast forwarded. I was sat down before we started recording, and I knew we were going to talk about it, and I was trying to think about what I could say that is, in my mind at least, definitively new. And one thing I could think of is obviously the co-op. Another thing I could think of is I'm pretty sure in the original game you couldn't, so when you drive a car in this, you can literally open the boot and store stuff in it, and I'm pretty sure you couldn't do that.
I think you could.
In the previous game.
I think you could.
Oh, okay. Okay, well that's okay. Well, I thought that was new, so that's okay.
It was something I didn't find out till quite late, but you could definitely do it.
Right. Well, that's okay. That's bad because I was going to say I can't come up with a third thing. Well, no. Okay, I can. Here we go. Okay, this is not a major one, but I've got a third thing. Well, a second thing, as it would be. You know how you go up into towers essentially, and you scope the areas out.
Yeah.
I want to say in the first game you used a pair of binoculars, where in the second game you just literally get your gun out and aim down sights, and it does that for you like that. Is that okay? That one's there you go. That's new.
I seem to
They've
think
taken the binoculars away.
Yeah, I seem to think that you had binoculars in the first game as well.
Yeah, I think.
And now you just get your gun out and
now you just kind of just point, don't you? But that's not. I mean, that's.
Do you still get stuff like the hordes and that?
Yeah, you do.
You get everything.
You do.
I don't want to be that
one, don't you?
I don't want to be that guy. But it's things regarding binoculars being brought in a discussion of games in 2018, and we're wondering if it doesn't say much for the title. I don't know a whole pile about State of Decay. I've seen it, and I kind of meant I don't like survival games that much. It's like Marmite. I think I don't think there's anybody who can kind of just play a survival game and be like, yeah, it passes the time. I feel you either love it or you don't. And I've struggled massively with survival games because I panic. I remember even when I played Metal Gear Survive, I just panic. It's an abundance of stress, and I just get lost completely. Now, saying this about the sequel, there is a fan base for this game, but by the sounds of it, there doesn't seem to be a whole pile of new stuff in this sequel, and I'm wondering, is it just existing to shine a light again on it, to kind of go, remember us? Because I know it seems like everyone's like, I know Fortnite is there on PUBG, but remember State of Decay? We've added co-op and binoculars. Like,
I think that, I mean, it's difficult to say at the moment because I just haven't. I'm still early game. I mean, I'm 10 hours in, but I'm still early game. I think that it is essentially it's State of Decay, which, by the way, was really good.
Was good, yeah.
With co-op, so it's all of that stuff that was in State of Decay, but now you can do it with up to 3 friends. So there's 4 of you working together to build a community. There is some new stuff, and of course my memory on the first game is hazy on this, but there is some new stuff in that you can, once you get your community to a specific level, and I haven't done this yet, but there seems to be some different roles that you can take on. Like you could be almost like a warlord type community leader who doesn't cooperate with any of the communities around them and this, that and the other. Or you could perhaps be, a leader where the other communities kind of want to look up to you as well. Now, I'm a bit hazy on this at the moment because I don't know exactly how that's going to work because I haven't got that far yet. There's just indications within where I've got to with the game so far that is something that you can do. Some passing sort of tutorial not really a tutorial, but some passing information that came up. And also when I go and view my community, there is a vacant space in my community, which I'm guessing means that once I get somebody to a certain level, whatever that might be, then I have an option to promote them to perhaps being the head of the community, and what options that then brings will be interesting to see, I think.
I will say, like, it sounds... I mean, I regret having this game as the first one on our docket because I think it sounds like Nicola and I both like a bit like...
Not really.
On this game. But like... I think again, I'm less into it than Nicola is in terms of time. So it's like in terms of, I don't know what my expectations were. I wonder if people, and I think that's why I wanted to talk about it as quickly as we could, if you know what I mean, like as soon as we were allowed to, because I wonder if this is people's sort of great white shark. You know, they're the rare, that Microsoft game that's gonna, finally. And I, again, 4 or 5 hours in, I absolutely think that people need to temper any expectations. Like Nicola and I were talking about the trailers they've been putting out, and it's like, you're not helping. You're not helping with putting that kind of trailer out, making this look like a game that could go toe-to-toe exclusive sort of AAA style with Gears or with Halo, because I still... Again, and this is something Nicola and I were talking about, is I feel like Sony do this thing where they've got a game like that's pretty damn good, or the idea is great. They then throw a load of money at it and they throw the budget at it, and it just ends up being, a bit like they did with Bloodborne. Like, obviously people know about FromSoft, but they got their studios involved to make that game run better. It still could run better, but
it could.
And I don't feel... Yeah, cheers, Gary. I don't feel like I figured that when Microsoft bought Undead Labs, what we would get is State of Decay's vision, but with Microsoft's money. And although I think the game looks better, so again, in a preview sense, I think it does look better than State of Decay. Like, I would fucking hope it does. It's a next generation game compared to that game, but also... I don't feel like it looks better enough. Like Nick and I have been talking about how dark the game is, and I keep thinking I'm going mad, and I think you did before as well, didn't you, Nick?
It's definitely dark. I mean,
It's really dark.
I went into the gamma settings and I put it on to full brightness, and it's still ridiculously dark. And that's at night time. You can barely see 2 paces in front of you, and you've got a torch. And I know that when it is really dark outside and you've got a torch, you can't see that much around you, but even so, this isn't real life. I'm playing a video game and I don't really want to get lost and realise I've actually just walked into a cliffside and now I can't find my way back out. I just...
And your car's on the hillside with six rucksacks in it, and...
Or you go into a building and the camera moves around really quite closely around you, and you've got your torch and you can't actually see how to get through the door, into another room in the building, and it's too dark. I can't quite navigate around the space effectively sometimes, and I think that's a bit of a problem.
I agree. I don't know.
I was going to say there, this is kind of mainly towards you, Nicola, right? For somebody who plays online gaming a lot, what do you think State of Decay does, especially this sequel? Is there anything in it that you can see yourself going back to for?
In a preview
yes.
sense, this is the kind of game that I love. I really like this kind of game. The fact that it's got co-op, and I want to be fair here. Adam and I have probably only done an hour, if that, of co-op.
It was an hour, yeah, and my Xbox crashed, so that not even, and it did feel like that was where the game should be played.
Definitely, and I haven't played that element of it yet enough to even comment on it, but my feeling is that is where the game is. It's about you and your pals setting up and building this community together. The game itself, the idea that State of Decay has is incredible. You've just got this persistent world that everything you do has impact. Like you can lose a member of your community. If you go out and you haven't got enough med supplies on you, or you get surrounded by a horde or whatever, and
run
you
out of
die,
fuel in your car,
or run out of fuel. Like that's it. If that character dies out and about, they're dead. They're gone,
and they cannot come back.
They cannot come back. They're dead and gone, and you've lost all of the skills and what have you. You've lost that valuable member of your community.
So if I'm playing with you and Adam and I die, I can never join you again, unless we set up an.
Yeah, because you have multiple people.
You have a suite of community players that you've got.
Okay.
But that one that you were playing,
but they're all
with,
specialists.
See,
they're all different specialists, aren't they?
The thing is you don't play right. So you start off with a community, and I think it's got like 4 in it when you first start.
Yeah,
and
you're not playing as Kratos here. You're not. I
am
Kratos the star of this game. You are one
players.
of 4.
Absolutely, yeah. So you go out, you go scavenging, and the character that you're using becomes fatigued because they've been out scavenging all night and they're tired and they've been lugging stuff about and they've been fighting zombies. So you have to bring them back to base so that they can rest, and you swap out and play with another member of your community. And by regularly switching your members of community, you build up their skills. So there's like core skills, for example, fighting, their stamina, shooting. I can't remember all of them, but then there are specialties.
There's loads of them. Yeah,
there's specialties that you can then do. You can then work on. So, for example, I found a skill book. I found a skill book out on a scavenge, and the character that I was using couldn't use the skill book, so I brought it back to base, and now one of my characters is a specialist in chemistry, so I can now start to build more interesting, like bombs or whatever, because this, but only really with this character, because this character now has that specialist skill. And of course, if I took that character out and lost them, because, I wasn't watching the stamina and they got surrounded by a horde and they died, I've then lost that capability within my community as well. So you're constantly managing what's going on and what, who best to take out, onto a mission. They're too tired, I'm going to have to leave them to rest. You've got to make these decisions constantly. So it's a really, really cool idea, and State of Decay 2 carries on that fantastic idea, but now I think what it's doing is the cooperative element of it is the new bit, really. That's my feeling so far.
It's weird because, just talking about it, sort of sitting there listening to you talk about it, I should say, then I'm like, do you know what? I kind of want to go play it now. But that's not to, so it's not. This is none of this is to say it seems bad. Like I feel like it's again. I like the first one, so more of the same. In it would be unfair to go, oh bloody hell, more of the same, because that's kind of what games do. Unless it is like a God of War, where it's like we took those games and we made the different kind of game. Most games, like Halo 4 is a shooter. Like Halo 3 was, that is video games. Mario Odyssey has unique ideas, but it's still a Mario game, a 3D version of Mario game. Again, I'm just looking at my amiibo again. Street Fighter is it's rare that you get a God of War or a Zelda that like totally take the original games and go, no, this is. So I don't want to sound too down on it, and I want to play more co-op of it. And again, in a preview sense, but I feel like I'm experiencing a lot of jank and a lot of sort of bugginess, and like the menus feel awkward, and a lot of this stuff that maybe once I'm 14 hours in instead of 4 will be distant memories. And listen, like Nicola's review will be up in the future. Like this is a preview, as we said. In fact, I tell you what. We will talk about State of Decay 2 more. We will, but let's talk about it more when we can actually say these are our final thoughts. Is not what I mean. And let's cheer ourselves up, right? And we can cheer ourselves up from this zombie-infested world where like you have to talk about the minutiae of survival. Let's cheer ourselves up with a good old-fashioned David Cage sort of dystopian future romp in the form of the Detroit demo, which you've played, Adam.
Yeah.
Let's cheer ourselves right up. I've played that. That's a cheery demo, isn't it?
I'm going to be honest. I am happy.
Oh.
I am happy.
Okay.
As I said, I'm not particularly a big David Cage fan. I've completely fallen out of love with his video games. I don't know what it is. I feel they just haven't aged well. They just haven't, and I think they're quite clunky at times and stuff. This new like game of his is really interesting, but it still does much of the same stuff. But for some reason, and you nailed it perfectly, Adam. Like, and this is only from a demo. The demo made me feel like a detective.
Big time. Really, really cool detective.
It really did, and I thought that it looked really good.
Oh yeah, Jesus, yeah. Well, you'd expect that, to be fair. That's
but I, to be honest, any of the like the trailers that I've seen or the brief gameplay, which I think the gameplay that we have seen is this demo. I don't know. I had to play it for myself. It's like any game. However, this did look amazing. I have to give a massive shout out to the music. The soundtrack seems like it's going to be incredible. It adds so much tension.
You don't.
Oh yeah,
you don't get too many demos these days, do you?
No, not at all. And I think it's definitely a level of gaming that I really enjoyed. I think demos should come out for every game. Like, just give us a half hour of it, just to see how it is. I loved getting the old PlayStation magazines with the demo of like 10 games on it, and you go home and you decide what you're going to play. It's amazing. So it's kind of fun to have this, especially for a game like Detroit. A game where I feel can't really work as a demo in some weird way, but it does.
I mean, it's like a Telltale game, isn't it? You wouldn't take half an hour of a Telltale game and go, here you go, play that. Yeah. That's the demo.
And you start off straight away as... It is Connor, is the protagonist. And you're like, I'm not fond of the name. The name is kind of hilarious. But it puts you straight in to a situation. And immediately you can do your standard things by just walking around, picking up a fish, putting the fish into a tank, like, which I said sounds like the most unfun thing to do. But when you're playing this game, and it is an element of David Cage's games, you do want to just go to every corner. You do want to see if you can interact with everything and just see that hilariously awkward cutscene that might come from it. But the choices that you make in the demo they're really good, and it made me want to play the demo again. And like, how many demos can you say that about? Like that's...
Well, it's interesting you say that, because that's something I think we did mention this very briefly, didn't we? The demo, the first week it came out, and you've nailed something there that I've since thought about. Like, do you know how in games like, and Nicola and Gary have played Telltale games before. You know how when you make a choice, you could kind of, and something happens, you can work out how what the alternate route would be to have got there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can work out how. I feel like in this, again, just a demo, but I feel like some of the sort of options and the choices felt like, I'm not sure. What did I miss? How would I have got there? And that's interesting, because if it can deliver that the whole game, that is a different take.
Yeah, because it is a moment where you're on a rooftop and you have the option to slowly like move forward all the time while you're having your conversation and making your choices. And I feel if the full version of the game comes out and holds up that element of tension, I think it's going to show a lot of it's going to bring out a lot of interesting conversations amongst people like us, because I think it's going to show darker sides to people, because it does that whole infamous thing, the bad and the good, but it's kind of like in these decisions, it was like I could convince them to just calm down, or I could get really aggressive and tell him that he's an idiot for doing this, or I could just play the game and go on, jump, do what you want to do, but like you're not going to, But like there could be people out there who will say, yeah, I just told him to jump, and he mightn't have. And those stories could be really interesting and a lot of fun, because I instantly went for the whole. I always want to be bad in video games, but I never can. I just can't. I always.
Oh.
It's really bizarre.
So wait, which way are you saying you did go then? Because I went the calm down route. Sorry, Nicola, Gary, have either of you played this demo?
No.
Nope.
Okay, sorry. Fair enough. We won't dwell on it for too long. But Adam, did you go bad then? Did you be?
No, I didn't go bad.
I thought you were saying because it's a demo you did.
No, and that's the thing about it, and that's the kind of. That's my issue, where I kind of want to go bad to see how these. Because it's a situation where you're trying to stop somebody from committing a horrendous crime, but you're just going to tell him straight out that he's a dickhead and stop doing this. And, it's weird, but I'm instantly calm down. Let's not go crazy here. And you're slowly walking forward. And even though I went that route, the outcome was incredibly interesting. And it made me go, holy shit, I did, what, it made me. Go on.
Do you reckon that's the intro for the game? Like when the game's available, the final game. Do you reckon that's the intro?
I would think so. I think it's an intro that will lead into 10 years later.
You probably take over or you take over someone else's character.
Yeah, something like that.
Because I get the feeling you're going to control multiple people.
Yeah.
Well, there must be, because that Kara remember Kara? Is it Kara?
I think that's the name, yeah.
They showed it at E3 years ago, the Kara demo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's in this, right? Is she?
Yeah. Is she the one that looks like Jennifer Lawrence?
I don't know who that is.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Nope.
No?
She's Mystique in the newest
Sorry.
X-Men films.
But yeah, look.
Moving on.
Look, what I will say is that even the voice acting was extremely good. And I was worried about that, because it can be if you ever have played Fahrenheit and stuff. I found it was kind of stiff a lot of the time for me. This seems really interesting. I think it can probably be the best game of his career. But it could be a thing where if it's 20 hours long, will I get bored of just doing this?
I hope it's not 20 hours long.
And see, but it could be, because
mind you, I said that about God of War.
Exactly. And one thing I will say, and it's so funny going back to the State of Decay there for a second. I think Nicola said, I'm only 10 hours in or something. That's actually a thing I was only thinking of last night. When the hell did video games become a thing where it's I'm only 15 hours in, so I can't really judge? Or so,
I think it depends on the game, Adam.
For sure. And I know something like State of Decay, which is it wants
it's endless.
a longer
State
lasting.
of Decay's endless, really.
Completely. But it is a thing now. It is a thing amongst majority of games where you do have to say, I'm only 10 hours in, so I can't really judge. And I don't have time for that anymore. I don't have time for that. I personally don't, and I don't even have a family or anything, but I just don't have time for this kind of stuff. I just hope that this game can come out at 15 hours and it's good and it's start to finish gripping. And I think we could have a real surprise title released in 6. I think people...
Oh no, I'm going to say right here and now, I am. This is the most bitter thing I've ever said, but I am enormously looking forward to the revisionist history when this game gets reviewed really well and everyone says they liked Quantic Dream games all along, because I'm looking forward to that enormously.
Yeah.
Because I still remember the shit we've had for the scores we've given their games in the past. Because I still remember them.
I think I remember when Colin was with the site.
Yeah, he gave it a 9 out of 10. Beyond Two Souls.
9 out of 10, yeah. And he was a big fan. That was when I personally went away from it.
Let's not even talk about the score I gave Heavy Rain as my first ever review ever of any game ever. Let's not even talk about that.
But the thing is, Adam, though, like at the time of Heavy Rain, I personally was like, this is incredible. This is absolutely
okay.
Like,
maybe we should talk about the score I gave Heavy Rain because I think I don't look up that review because that was a long time ago and that will be poorly written. Don't embarrass me.
But no, at the same time, that's what I feel a lot of his games are. They come out, we are all kind of like, that's really good, but it kind of dates itself rather quickly. Like, I know a lot of people went back to Fahrenheit when it got released on the store and stuff, and a lot of people were like, oh, I should have left that alone. I should have left those fun memories.
Well, see, that's why I never played the PS4 versions of Heavy Rain and Beyond, because although I loved both of them, I kind of feel like I doubt they've aged well.
No, they haven't, but this has been...
I really like those games. I think of those games massively fondly.
So, well, they're just very fucking obnoxious. Like, that's straight up. And then some of the writing does become really, really stupid. Like...
Okay.
And I think the situations of like walking in to turn on the shower and then you get a cutscene of the shower, like it's too weird. I get kind of uncomfortable, and that's just straight up it. I just don't get, like, I'm playing a video game, but I'm playing a game where I'm pressing a button to turn on the shower, like, or pick up, and these traits are in it where, like, you, as I said, you pick up a fish, you put it into the tank. That is straight up all you fucking do. Like, I just picked up a fish and put it, like, and I'm kind of like watching everything, expecting the fish to, like, I don't know, explode or something. You know, I just don't know what I'm supposed to expect. But then I'm like, okay, that's just a thing. That's just his style of video game designing. And I can kind of...
It's unashamedly wanky, but, like, there's room for that in games. Like, there's enough games that take themselves serious. I suppose that's the thing people don't like, is that they're both wanky, but he means it.
Yeah.
He means it.
But I have to say, though, for anyone that might feel like the same as me when it comes to, like, his style of games and those moments, I think the Detroit demo has a really good balance of a story that you will probably care about and then all that shit if you like it. And I still do that shit. I still will go over and press everything and just see what happens. But, like, if I remember, if you noticed in the demo, I enjoyed there's a SWAT team in the building with you. And they start, if you're pissing around, they'll start going, will you get on the roof and sort this out? You know, they start giving out to you.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. So I'm definitely keen on this game now after the demo. And I do think everyone should play it, because it is only like a half an hour long, and you can replay it, I think, around 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. It's got the whole telltale, this is what everybody else did when they play through, and, like, you know. Yeah.
I just hope that it doesn't dive into controversial scenes. I just really hope that this game can just come out, surprise everyone, and we won't have a moment where of this particular moment in a game where it just causes controversy and everyone's up in a heap over it and we just can't enjoy it. I really hope that none of that
We've
is in it.
We've already had that, haven't we?
I was going to say, it's nice to hope things.
Oh, but, yeah, we have had that, and, you know, but I think it's just, nobody can accept it anymore. Like, we never could.
I have a funny feeling there's a subject matter he's going to try and... Not a subject matter, but a situation he's going to approach in this game due to it being a lot of human and android interactions.
Look, we're going to have a Demolition Man sex scene. I don't know if anyone has seen that, but, like, judging off...
I think he might go further than that.
Like...
I'm not going to say it because it sounds like I've been sitting around thinking about things that could be awful in games, but after the podcast or in the Patreon section, maybe we'll go. Listen, let's move on to another game, right? And the reason I say that is because I've been dying to know this. This is another game Nicola's reviewed, or State of Decay she's reviewing, but this is a game you've reviewed, and I'm just wondering why it's, you know, we're all writers. and really good ones. So I just don't understand who's misspelt the name of this game on our docket here.
I don't get it, Adam, but it's been sending me doolally.
What? Fucking why is this game spelt wrong?
I don't know.
Forgotton Anne. Okay, so you've played it to completion, reviewed it, and you still don't actually know why the game is spelt Forgotton. Forgotton?
No idea.
Forgotton Anne. Okay.
No idea.
Is it any good?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay, you sound really happy about that.
We've kind of had a discussion about this elsewhere, haven't we? Where I've just it's really good. It's a really surprising game, but it's also a pain in the arse to play.
Right.
Yeah, the gamey bits are just a little bit too annoying to make it brilliant, if you know what I mean.
So you sold me. What's the opposite of selling? Well, you sold me the game initially, and I was like, I want to play this. And then I looked at the pictures, and I was double sold. And then I sort of carried on reading your review, and I was like, I'm not so sure I actually want to play this. And then I think a bit further on, I'm like, no, I do want to play it again. And then by the end of the review, I'm like, I want to play this for some reasons, but I feel like I'm going to get annoyed by it by others. Is that?
It's definitely worth playing. I mean, it's gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous to look at. The soundtrack is phenomenal. It's the Copenhagen Philharmonic Orchestra who...
Okay, so far you've sold me twice now, okay.
It's brilliantly voice acted. It's got a wonderful cast of characters. It tells a really cool story that is quite unsettling. It does something that games don't often do. They set out to do it, but they don't often achieve it, and that is to make the choices that you take within the game have some real impact. And in fact, some of those choices have devastating impact once you realise the significance of them. Because
I feel like
it introduces them. It introduces these choices without really telling you that you're having... it's not clear that your actions will have consequences. It doesn't make that clear at any point in the game, really. I mean, I think there's a passing thing for one instance, but it really is passing. It's a fleeting thing. So much so that you just kind of bumble your way through the game, making a choice here, conversation, so it's a binary conversation thing. So you'll talk to a character and you've got one or two options to, not one or two, you have two options, one of which you must choose. And they just seem like, whether you are going to be slightly kinder in your response or you're going to be slightly harsher in your response, that's simply the difference between them. But as you progress through the game, you actually realise that the game's been tricking you into making choices, and once you realise the significance of them, they are pretty devastating.
That sounds so cool.
It's really cool.
But I feel like there's the world's biggest butt.
Yeah,
about
there's a pain in the arse to play.
The corner.
It's a pain in the arse to play, and I don't want to. I feel like I'm shitting on everything that's brilliant about it by saying that it's a pain in the arse to play, but it is a pain in the arse to play, and that's because now it may be because Unity that it's been developed in. I don't know. I don't know anything about game engines. I don't know anything about design or anything like that. I don't. So I can't, accurately say why the game plays in the way that it does. But it does feel to me that there's been some deliberate design decisions in terms of, so there's some light platforming elements to it, where Anne, she can jump and reach a ledge above her and then pull herself up. That's great, but everything about it just seems to take a fraction of a second too long. So, you've missed the jump, and you've fallen to the bottom again, and you've got to start all over again, and it's agonising to play at times. Agonising.
What's it about, Nick?
Oh, it's just... You kind of need to go in blind.
Okay,
Adam,
okay, fair enough.
You do kind of need to go in blind, because I don't really want to spoil it.
Because this game looks right up my street.
It's wonderful. It is wonderful. The premise is that you're in a land of forgotten things. So,
sorry, Nicola. Forgotton.
No, well, this is the frustrating thing, Adam. Like, it's Forgotton Anne, and you are in the Forgotten Lands. And do
you think there's a typo in the game?
I honestly don't know.
How do you know that they're spelt differently? Is it text on screen?
Yeah.
So is it? Surely not. But is it possible they misspelt it and someone didn't catch it in the actual game text?
Part of me thinks that
maybe they just didn't want to tell them. Maybe it was someone who'd spelt it wrong, but nobody wanted to correct them, and they were just like, "No, it's fine." Just like, forgot. Yeah, that's fine, mate.
Don't hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
Don't hurt their
Part
feelings.
of me wonders whether it's just a marketing thing.
I think it's just one of those.
It just draws your eye to it. You go, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's right, and it makes you pay attention to the title. Maybe that's my only real reason for it, because it isn't explained in the game, and every other instance of Forgotten is spelt correctly.
Is there any possibility, like, again, in terms of the type of game, is there any possibility there's like a side quest or missable mission or something that's like, oh, now if we're going to make them really work for the explanation, or is it just not that kind of game? Oh,
no, I don't feel
really
like there is.
Me.
There is one section, there is one sort of off the beaten track section that I did miss. Right. But that's because it's not clear where you have to go. It's essentially quite a linear game, but there are a few bits you can kind of go off into a different area, and you might find a memento, a collectible or something. Now, there was one area that I was like, oh, I feel like I need to be going left, but I can also go up. So I think I chose to go up, and it was actually that's the way that the game wanted me to go. And once you enter into a section that is, progressing the game, you can't then leave that section until that bit's done. Oh. So I couldn't go, I actually don't want to do this yet. I want to go back and explore that other area. So there is a big section sort of mid-game that I missed. But from experience of having explored the different levels before, it's just, maybe some different characters that you meet, or you might hear overhear some different conversations, or there might be just a different puzzle to do where you can like maybe pick up a memento or something like that. So yeah, it's not really a case that I've missed a side mission, because there isn't really side missions. It's a fairly linear tale.
I think you get what I mean. I'm just desperately searching for
a reason
for okay.
It's just hideously misspelled.
I actually think
really badly.
I genuinely think it's just going to be a straight up arty kind of thing that they did, because there's a lot of bands now who, if they have an A in their name, they just flip it upside down to make it look like a V, and there's absolutely no reason.
Well, it's churches. Churches is the one.
Yeah.
Now, I for years had never heard anything of theirs, and in fact, I think it was only when. Do you remember when they did the Mirror's Edge soundtrack, the new Mirror's Edge? And I was like, "What the hell is this?" And someone just said, "Oh, it's just a U, but that's a V."
Yeah.
Yeah. But they put a V in to look cool. It actually spells churches.
So there's
Okay.
But in terms of gameplay, Nick, what is the main thing? You're not just jumping from platform to platform, I imagine.
No, so you're in the Forgotten Lands, and everything, like items from the real world that get lost, like, a sock or a phone or...
An amiibo, maybe?
Yeah. So that falls through in, the ether into a place called the Forgotten Lands. And the Forgotten Lands are powered by a kind of magical source, so that all of those items actually have life, and they can talk and what have you. And you play as Anne, and you're trying to solve a mystery. Something's happened in the world, and you're trying to find out why it's happened and who's done it. So you kind of move through the space, solving puzzles and doing, light platforming and chatting away to characters and stuff. I mean, Adam originally thought that it was a point-and-click adventure game. It's not point-and-click at all. It's an adventure.
You're making it sound. I don't know if you've played. I can't remember if you've played this. I know we talked about it on the Game of the Year, but now I think about it, the way you're describing it, plus the visuals, it's making me think of Night in the Woods.
Right. I haven't played that yet. No.
Oh, okay, damn it. Again, it's like a sort of 2D left and right, up and down, side-scrolly platformer, but
it's like a 2.5D thing. Yeah.
But you chat to people and you do story stuff, and there's like mini games. It sounds a bit like Night in the Woods.
Yeah.
Which is actually making me want to play it because I do like the look of it.
It's really good. It's just a pain in the ass to play. Not all the time. Sorry, I'm making that sound like the whole thing's a chore. It's not. That isn't the case at all. There are some sections where the mechanics of it are a pain in the ass. And particularly, I mean, I shouldn't maybe say this, but I'm going to anyway. When you're playing a game for review, and you want, you're trying to finish the game, and there's sometimes you reach a point with a game where you're like, I kind of want this to finish now because I want to write my review, and the game doesn't always finish at that point. So I think the last sort of maybe hour, and this isn't the game's fault at all, I want to stress that, it isn't the game's fault, but in the last hour or so, that irritation with the animation of Anne jumping and pulling herself up onto a platform really, really wound me up towards the end of the game. And that's partly because I was impatient for it to be finished so that I could move on and start writing my review on it. So that isn't necessarily the game's fault.
No, but they're normally the ones. I don't know if you write the same way as I do, but normally if I finish a game, if it's one I've already really loved, I'm like, I'm going to write this right now. I've just got to. But with a game like that, where there's been like that level of irritation, that's when I usually like go, I'm going to sleep on this and write about it later.
Which is exactly what I did. I wrote the review the day after.
What I figured, yeah. Because otherwise you can't help but be coloured by the fact you're pissed off. And then if you then waited 24 hours after the review was written, you'd go, like, actually, I'm not as angry now as I was.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend playing it. Absolutely. The story... I found the story really quite unsettling, to be honest.
That's the biggest draw for me. That's the bit when you were describing the story and stuff in the review. I was like, I think I have to play this,
I found it really unsettling. So, yeah, I recommend it, absolutely. It's a really, really good game. Wonderful little game, actually.
Well, that is actually probably next on my list to play, that one.
It's surprisingly lengthy, actually. Just quickly before we move on to...
Oh, okay, now you're unselling me from it.
Right, I say that, but I mean, it's a little... I mean, it's a little game. It looks like a little indie game. It's about 6 hours, 6.5 hours.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I thought you were going to say like 20.
Well, I was quite surprised by the length of it, if I'm brutally honest. Anyway, that's another thing.
Enough.
Moving on.
Well, no, it's good you said that because I can think of a very lengthy game, which we'll briefly touch on this week, Gaz, because like in the weeks to come, at some point you'll have a review up because it's a really big game, Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, which I think is going to be interesting to more people than if we were talking about the original game, because this one, I believe, is coming to the beloved Switch as well as other consoles.
Yeah. And I think it'll work because... Although it's a very pretty game and everything.
Well, Gary, it would be perfect on Switch. So why wouldn't it work?
You've said it now, though. You've said it about a game, and you can't take that back.
Mate, Twitter, you can't bring up things I said on Twitter on the podcast. They're two different mediums. Although, saying that, the next game we talk about, I am going to mention Nicola's penis on Twitter.
Jesus Christ, I didn't expect that at all.
No, and I'm not going to explain it. Please, Gary.
Didn't expect that either, Nick.
Gary, Pillars of Eternity. Any penises?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
I was a bit surprised.
I was expecting that.
Just as there is like a bathhouse on one of the islands, and yeah, I was surprised. I was like, hang on. Are they, yeah, they're naked. Okay, cool. Moving on.
It's the year of the wang.
Get in. It's about time.
But the way the game is, you can't exactly see.
Oh my god, it really is. Sorry, Gary, I just realised. Do you remember there was that Luigi's tennis thing?
Oh yeah,
it really is Year of the Peanut. Go on, anyway, carry on.
But yeah, I mean, this game could work on the Switch easily enough because it, like the first game, the majority of it is kind of pre-rendered backgrounds, and it's just like the characters and a few other bits that are 3D. So there's not an awful lot of processing power needed, I don't think, for it. But the game itself, I mean, if you ever played any of like the old
slipped in. You just slipped in an insult to the Switch and I've only just picked up on it. It doesn't need a lot of processing power to run it, so, the Switch might be alright.
Well, anyone who's upset by that can fuck off, quite frankly. It's fact, so they can shush. Moving on.
No, I think you covered it when you said anyone who thinks, in your words, fuck off. I think you don't need to... Yeah.
But it reminds me, like, if you'd played the first game, you know how it plays. It's still like Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, like the old school PC RPGs.
Yeah.
But it feels a bit more accessible than any of the others that I've played. Partly because it has like a thing on which I think will go both ways in terms of the type of player, but in the difficulty you can select basically an auto scaling thing. So if you go into an area and you're not leveled enough, it'll scale the enemies down. Or if you're someone who's a bit further ahead and things are a bit too easy, you can turn this on and it'll ramp up the difficulty of smaller enemies and that kind of thing to match. But yeah, I mean, I'm having quite a lot of fun with it. And this one has like the addition of sea travel, so you go in a bit like Sea of Thieves, but with more content. Yeah, that was another dick.
Twice.
Sorry.
That's twice you're swinging at people, Gary. What made you so angry?
I'm angry because my fucking PC. But let's not go there. No, but it's
oh dear.
It's very much more of a D&D game this time round, even though it's not a D&D anymore. The Baldur's Gate games were, but they don't license that anymore for Obsidian. So, but it plays like it. I mean, like you can have areas like one area is called the Narrows, and you go into it, and it's like dingy cave system, but where nefarious people hang out. But rather than you just going straight in and just wandering around yourself, it comes up with a little text piece, and it's kind of like which direction do you want to go, and it'll paint a little picture of what you see, and then you can make decisions based on that. And you get stuff like that with the ship combat, because when you're on the world map, it's just a big world map, and you've just got a little boat which is barely animated, and you just click and move around. But if you get into a fight, it then goes into like a text-based thing, and you've got a certain amount of moves that you can make, and with those moves you can change the direction you're facing. You can get wind in the sails, try and escape, or ram the enemy, that kind of thing. Or you can go side on and let loose with the cannons. But it's just all painted via words, and you just get a little picture of a sort of what's going on with sound effects. So it's quite an imaginative game. But I mean, I suppose, like I said in that video for the King, I think it was, or I might have even said it in the video for this actually, that it's one of those things you have to make your peace with. You either like that or you don't before you go into the game.
We should mention as well, there is a video of this game that you've put up, and there's some written stuff as well. So like, I know because the game's out and people are probably thinking, why isn't it a review? It's because it's huge, right?
Yeah, it's definitely fucking huge. I mean, I'm barely scraping the surface of it at the minute, and it feels like I've been playing for like the length of a whole game, which not an RPG obviously, but yeah, it's great. And the characters are all brilliantly written. Everyone except like the sort of the nondescript NPCs kind of thing. Everyone's voiced, and they're all voiced really well.
Okay.
And I love the conversation system. It's fairly simple in the fact that someone will speak, you'll get a list of responses to choose from, but they are very wildly different, and sometimes I can't help but pick like the sarcastic option. And I mean, one of the very first things that happens is you get set upon by a pirate ship, and they board you, and you're in the middle of a storm, and it's kind of like, you're just like, sorry, I didn't hear you. You said you were surrendering, right? When they obviously just said that we're going to kill you all, kind of thing. And I just like, I can't not say that. Why would I choose any other option when I can say that? It's great.
Sarcastic, yeah.
And it's funny because if you meet this captain again later on, and he'll remember that you've spoken to him that way, and be pissed off about it. And this happens quite a lot in the game. The way you speak to people can have effect on other things, and the way you have your, like, when you level up, rather than just going, here, I'm going to put points into like your attack or whatever, there's kind of two systems that you get to put a point into each, and like one of them will affect your character's abilities in like combat and exploration and stuff like that. So it's like being able to detect traps and things like that. The other one is more to do with like conversations and perception and stuff like that. So you can have like history knowledge, metaphysics knowledge, some of it's like survival knowledge and like street smarts, that kind of thing. And depending on the characters you've got in your party at the time, all their individual skills will sort of add up. So if there's a conversation option which requires 6 history knowledge or something, it's like if you have your character has only got 3, you might be able to add up the rest to make it up. And I mean, I didn't realise that straight away. It was one of those things that after a bit I found out, because I think I'd moused over one of the options, and it basically said, this plus this plus this is why you've got
that's cool.
And I mean, I could see myself losing many, many, many hours to this game, and happily so, because it's got a decent story as well. And I suppose the only issue. So go on.
I was just gonna say, can you jump into this one like without playing the first?
Yeah, because I mean, I only ever played about 90 minutes of the first one. So it's one of those ones where I started playing it, and then other games kind of got in the way, and reviews and all other sorts of things. So it's just like, I'll play it at some point. But when this game starts, you're essentially in a coma, but you see yourself as like a little character of light in this weird other dimension. And you go and speak to this god, and she starts asking you questions which kind of relate to decisions that would have happened in the first game.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like The Witcher 3, like where you if you've not played the other games, you can sort of give a response which would equate to what you would have done in that situation, or that kind of thing. It hints at various things, and it kind of even gives you a vague outline of the main plot as well. So I suppose it's just for anyone like myself who's not played the first one. They can go in and be like, okay, cool. I know, I know where I am. I know what's going on. So yeah, the only thing I've had is I've met 1 or 2 characters that were in the previous game. And I think if I'd have played it and met them, I would have known who they were straight away, rather than it being like, oh, actually, no, from the conversation they're having, clearly this was a person from the last game. But aside from that, I've had no issues whatsoever. I've just been enjoying the game and the story, because it kind of seems like it's not really connected to the previous game. So it's just a case of you're chasing after a god, basically, and try to work out what he's doing. And that's the extent of it, but you're free to sort of roam wherever you like. You know, you once you've got your ship, because the first area you've been shipwrecked, so you're basically doing a few quests to get this guy to help you rebuild your boat. And then once you've done that, it's pretty much a case of you can go to the marker that it's telling you to, or you can just go wander wherever you like. You might get destroyed or something, I don't know, but it gives you that option. It's nice and free and open, which is kind of new, I think, for this kind of game. Because usually they're a little bit more... They're not linear, but there's a little bit more direction to them.
I mean, review coming soon, I guess, is the easiest thing to say about this one. Like, you know, you got to put more into it. Yeah. But I mean, I think, listen, the honest truth is, I think I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was speaking for us all when I say, Nicola, penises, please talk about penises.
Well, I never knew that they waft around in the wind.
What?
Like, I mean, I'm not an expert on penises. I mean, I've seen them. I know what they look like. But
I like the way you've kept your modesty by saying just one. Just seen the one.
I've seen them. I've seen more than one of them. You know, more women in the world.
Yeah, but sure.
Like, what?
Let's not put a number on it, Adam.
I've got to.
No, I wasn't going to.
Ask a question to you three, because you all have penises.
Hey, let's not get carried away.
They don't.
I know I've got one. I can't speak for
in the wind, do they? Like a flaccid balloon? Do they?
I can't say I've ever stood around naked in the wind, so
thing.
I'm not entirely sure.
I haven't tested it,
but I wouldn't have thought so.
I might.
But in the interests of science, can we find this out?
Well, no,
because
I have been naked outside, and it doesn't move around like a leaf.
Well, and not just that. It appears that the ball sack does as well.
No, they definitely wouldn't.
Unless
you're a very old man, I would assume.
This is incredible information that I found out playing Conan Exiles.
I think for testicles to swing in a breeze, that you'd have to be in a very, very old man with very, very saggy genitals. Because I can't imagine a tight young... I don't know, I can't believe I'm going to say this sentence, but I've got halfway there, so I can't imagine a tight young man's penis and testicles would move all that much full stop. I would imagine they would be like most young people, their parts are fairly firm and...
Well, I mean, I don't know, but I don't even know how to word this. The structure of it doesn't change that much over the years, does it?
I mean, the skin tone, I think, changes as you get older. I think, you know, as you know, your body is weathered, that is part of your body. I mean, listen, I suppose if you were to be circumcised later in life... By the way, we're talking about Conan Exiles. Just in case anyone's wondering. You know, if you were to be circumcised later in life, I suppose it would change shape, or if you were to have an operation,
or fundamentally change.
Well, it wouldn't change from a sausage to a hamburger shape.
Well,
or
I mean, in terms of its ability to waft about in the breeze. Anyway, Conan Exiles.
I don't think so.
Conan Exiles.
I mean, if it was huge and very light, I suppose. I'm
sure if it was huge, it wouldn't be very light.
See?
Good point. Yeah. No, but all right. Have they modelled it on, like, if you go to... This is, again, I can't believe I'm going to say this sentence, but if you went in a chip shop and bought, like, a big Savoy, like a jumbo Savoy, you know, or do you know what, a hot dog, you know, like a big long hot dog, and sort of wobbled it about a bit. If they just went, but that's what a penis does, doesn't it? That's what they look like. That's one. Then I can see where they, you know, that's.
It doesn't look right.
What kind of game is Conan Exiles apart from obviously a penis simulator?
I just very quickly had to go and just type into Google Conan Exiles penises.
I bet you got some hits.
I've gotten some smashers.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at my
they
Twitter,
could smash bricks.
If you look at my Twitter, Adam,
Yes.
I have posted a video of it just sort of wafting wafting about in
You
the
got right
breeze.
up there as well, like right up there.
Oh yeah, I had
most
to like
games
angle
don't
the camera.
allow the camera to get there.
Oh, yeah.
But most games don't allow it. This game,
I've got a
I feel
lady
encourages
character
it.
as well, Adam, and let me tell you.
I saw a video of that too. Yeah.
Let me tell you that's been rendered.
Yeah, I noticed there was some rendering going on there.
Anyway, Conan Exiles. What is it?
What kind of game is this?
It's
because
a
I think I
survival
had in my
game.
head it was a.
It's a survival game where you have to build and.
I'm not familiar with the genre. This is a new thing, I'm guessing.
I found it really weird because I played it a while back when it first hit.
August 2017.
Is that how long? But yeah,
yeah, we looked up your preview earlier. You weren't impressed.
Okay. That makes sense. Professional and all that. I'm clearly not. But I just.
You didn't seem as fascinated by the penises.
Well, at this stage, Adam,
they weren't in it.
Yeah, they didn't have a penis slider, but let me tell you, there's a penis slider in this game now.
Hang on, a slider? What does
yeah.
You can choose the length of your appendage.
Look, what is happening?
If you think that's not going to sell copies of this game, then you don't know the internet.
You can have full-on mushroom cock or a massive one that slaps against your inner thigh.
An absolute mendingo.
Yeah.
See, this must be why your server's full.
Yeah.
Nicola, it's because everyone's just busy looking at penises.
Everybody's just striding round it and nude with massive penises.
I thought you were saying that the server was full because it had too many big penises. Yeah. It couldn't fit any more on the server.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And they say that games. They say gamers aren't all children. I mean, let's hope there's never a court case and this podcast is brought up as some sort of evidence. So it's a survival game.
It's a survival game, yeah. It's essentially a survival game. You kind of not wake up, but you start off with nothing in the world. You are literally naked or just have a loincloth on, depending on whether you chose to be naked or not at the start. Obviously, I went naked.
But of course.
Do you still start off on a cross?
Yeah, you still start off on a cross and... What's his face? Your man Conan comes and cuts you down and says it's up to you now to go ahead and do whatever. But you've got to manage hunger, thirst, obviously encumbrance.
Oh, it really is one of those.
Yeah,
I mean, fucking ridiculous.
It's brutal. It's brutal in the beginning because it tells you nothing. I didn't know how to gather stuff.
Okay, hang on. I have a further question for you. I have a further follow-up question to the penis stuff. Actually, I don't think I ever asked you a question about the penises. Let's pretend I did. I have another question. Based on the videos you put on Twitter, what's going on in the first one? You appear to be a woman with a chap, maybe, kind of attached to some sort of very thin rope in the distance, being pulled along what looks like a sort of sandy desert.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
I went out, me and my pals went out, and we raided a bandit camp, and that person that I have dragged is a cook. So I clubbed
what?
They're a cook. So I clubbed this
the
person
chef.
Over the head several times with a club, whilst they were trying to hit me with a mace.
You should have just hit him with your penis.
Well, I could have done, but I chose a club. Call me old-fashioned. I didn't have a penis. I'm playing a female character, of course, on this one.
Yes,
so I had to use a club rather than my penis.
You could have used your breast if they move on. Cool.
I've knocked them out, and then I tie a rope around their legs, and that was me bringing this person back to my base, where I'm going to be putting them on that wheel of pain, whatever it's called. To break them.
I think you might have done enough pain. They would just...
Well, no, I'm going to be putting them... You know in the movie where Schwartz is pushing that wheel round?
So is this the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Yeah.
The really, really old movie.
Conan the Barbarian,
Yeah, so... Forgive, again, follow-up question number 2 or 3, if I forget. What in the name of Christ... No... Why, in the name of Christ, are they making a game based on? Related to that movie? Did they remake that movie and I missed it?
Well, they did, but this is a character that was written
I apologise.
decades ago. Like, I want to say it was like the 40s or 50s or something like that when he was writing these books. And the film was just based on
a Spectrum game. Wasn't there a Spectrum game, a Conan Spectrum game?
I mean, it's not.
And it was literally the picture of Arnie on the cover.
SNES or something.
It's not. It's not a game about the movie. It's just a game set in this Conan universe.
Okay.
But wasn't there an online game called Age of Conan?
Yeah.
I never played it. But
and that failed, didn't it?
I don't know. I only know that game exists. I don't really know anything about it. But I'm basically trying to break this individual by making them use the Wheel of Pain until they are broken, and then they become a slave, a thrall. A thrall that I can install in my base, and they will do tasks like cook stuff for me rather than me having to do it. So it's like levels of stuff that you build, but getting thralls to do it. You can like go in and like get thralls who will fight and protect your base when you're not there, or thralls that will do blacksmith stuff, or also, I mean, again, I'm early doors in the game at the moment, and part of my frustration has been that I'm playing on a PvP server with some pals who have the game. I was just like, oh, I see you've got Conan. Can I come play with you? And they're like, yeah, cool. We'll get you in the in the clan. So I've joined their server, and a lot of the base, you know, like they're early doors in the game themselves. So the base is just sort of starting to be built up now. But it's all server base. So that character that I have, that female character, is like nearly level 20 now. She's locked to that server. And if I can't get on that server, then I can't play that game. I can't play her. The only way I can play the game is to maybe create a new character on a different server, or play like on my own. And the game is not friendly for a solo player at all, because everything kills you. Like literally everything kills you. You need to monitor your thirst levels, you need to monitor your hunger levels, you need to be aware of the elements that, you know, if you've got no clothes on, if you're just striding about proud and it's cold,
like Ark Survival Evolved,
then you're gonna struggle. Or if it's too hot and you need to cool yourself down, this kind of stuff. I kind of like it. I mean, it is janky as hell. I do kind of like it.
It really sounds like Ark Survival Evolved.
Yeah,
have you played that?
Exactly what it is, Adam. That is exactly what it is. I haven't played Ark other than like the hour preview thing that you could try on Xbox when it was first released.
I forgot you could do that.
And it's nowhere near as janky as I recall Ark being.
That was horrendous.
It's not as janky as that. It is still janky as hell. But
because this game's out now, right? This game's
it is out.
Yeah.
I think it was released on Tuesday.
Yeah,
and like I say, my pals
in
independently went off and bought it because I think that they really enjoyed Ark, and there's three of them.
I thought you were going to say. I think you said they heard about the sliders.
No. There's three of them because they really enjoyed Ark. They played Ark for ages on a server, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to get Conan," and then I saw them playing, and I was like, "Oh, wow, get in! I'm actually reviewing it. This is really cool, because then I can try out what it's like playing on a PvP server and this, that, and the other." It's the kind of game I like. I love a survival game where I can go away and build stuff and create stuff, and it is that. I mean, it's got some RPG elements to it. I wouldn't say that it was an RPG at all, but there are some RPG elements to it, like you level up. Stuff that you do gives you XP. And you can then put that into points, like strength or encumbrance or whatever.
Right.
And then as you level up as well, you get access to more recipes. So initially, you can only make sort of stone tools quite simply. But then as you move on up, you can then start to create iron tools. But to do that, you'll need to build a blacksmith station and a smelter to smelt the iron ore, and you know what I mean. It's kind of this incremental levels until you're fully on building all of the stuff. like I say, I'm on a PvP server, which means that there's other people building and trying to build like their own kind of bases. And we went on a raid earlier. We built a trebuchet, which is pretty cool. We built a trebuchet and we were basically slinging boulders because you can't attack an enemy's base. You can't like just walk into their base. It's locked. You can't get into it. So you have to kind of get into it in a different way. So we built a trebuchet and smashed the roof in and climbed up and got in that way. Killed them. Stole one of their slaves. And ran off. It was great.
That's fun.
But yeah, there's other stuff to do in it as well. There's like specific monsters, like there's a giant crocodile you can kill, and there's some other stuff going on. And also, similarly with the universe, like the Conan universe, there's the different types of religions. Have you seen Conan the Barbarian?
Not for a very, very long time.
Because you know, what's his face? I can't remember his name.
James
No,
Jones.
it's been a long time.
He's like the serpent. He's a priest for the serpent.
Aquaman.
What's his name?
Are you on about like the main
in the
new
movie?
Conan?
No, the original, the Schwartz one.
Is it it's not cool on Gath, is it? That's another
But
one.
he's a priest, isn't he, for the serpent fella, the serpent god.
I can't remember his name.
So when you set up your character, you can choose which religion you're going to follow. And I created an altar, and I can now do some religion-specific stuff around that. Like the altar's just another crafting station, if you know what I mean. And I can now create some totems that allow me to do weird rituals like cannibalism and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It is kind of cool. I like it. It's a bit shit as well, but I don't know if the core. There's something there that I want to play it. The menus are horrific. There's been very little work done in terms of moving it from PC onto console, which is disappointing.
Yeah, always bad.
It looks lazy. I mean, I know that mapping PC stuff to controller is not easy, but, you know, when it sort of says press left mouse or right mouse, still, you know, it's just like little bits, you know, where the attention to detail's not been quite good. But, yeah, what I'm playing so far, I'm enjoying it. I'm certainly not down on it the way that Gary's preview was, but there again, I don't know how much it's changed since Gary's preview, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, when I played it, it was shocking, but like, I mean, that was, like, say, August, so it's...
It was nearly a year.
I mean, it's got some awful bugs, like if you lie down, you can, like, emote and stuff, and which is making me laugh, because one of my pals has got an emote where he lies down and, like, in a seductive manner, and it just lies there going, hey, woo, hey, like, you know, like he's trying to be sexy. But then the lie down emote kind of glitches out, so that when he's running around, he's still laid down. His character model is from what I can see, still laid down. So he's running around the map, but he's laid down, so it looks weird. So there's a few glitches and visual glitchy stuff like that, and also the combat in it is atrocious. The hit detection on that is just awful.
That was one of my issues. I was hoping they might have improved that.
Yes, that's. I mean, I don't know if it's been improved, but it's not good.
Well, speaking of things that have not improved, actually it doesn't work. Adam, I'm just going to blame you straight out, because moving into news, as a Canadian resident, I feel like you're to blame for ruining E3.
I am to blame. It's on me.
Okay. So Walmart Canada, obviously, this is the way it works. You know, you hear about things and you have to get them ready in the back end, so you can, you know, in the way that we are under embargo for something, you might be under embargo for an announcement of a game or a review of a game, whatever. You know, you get it ready and you have to schedule it to go live. And someone, I would guess, didn't know this stuff was NDA'd and just published it all up there. So they've been pulled down now, but we're going to talk about it because E3's on the horizon. So this massive Walmart Canada leak revealed the following games, which I'm going to go through in a particular order, because The Division 2 we knew existed. Ubisoft have already announced it. But the reason I mention it is because it kind of helps to add some legitimacy. Final Fantasy VII Remake, again, we knew about it. WWE 2K19. The reason I've mentioned that is because although we knew, it would be coming, what they don't list is a Switch version, whereas NBA 2K19, they list all versions again, and that makes me wonder if after the atrocious Switch version of WWE, they were not going to get one this year, which... Because am I right, Adam, in thinking that WWE, despite not appearing to be, they are actually quite careful about how they license their stuff out? Like they have a... You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are, but like that particular port to the Switch was an absolute travesty. Like it was bad. So that's why seeing this and it's being said that it's not going to be on this makes this a little bit more legit, I feel.
Yeah, I think so too. Another one before we get into the real big stuff, Destiny Comet. Now, is that just another expansion? Does anyone know?
I feel like I've heard that name before.
Okay.
I don't know
because I haven't.
Why? But it's got to be an expansion. It's got to be like was it the Taken King? That sort of massive
an actual physical release of. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's like that. But
okay.
I'm not sure how many people care about Destiny 2. It's already a little bit.
Well, we've got Assassin's Creed. It's just as Assassin's Creed, so that could be anything. I'm trying to look around the list I've typed out in a really poor order. Splinter Cell, which I think we called a few weeks ago. Yes. We all said there's no reason they'd get the voice actor back just to do some DLC.
Yep.
Dragon Quest 2, which I presume is Dragon Quest Builders 2.
I think that was already announced. And then we get into...
I don't know if it was announced, but I don't know. Then we get into some of the real big stuff, because Borderlands 3 is a game we kind of knew existed because Randy Pitchford had mentioned it before, and it was like, you're going to announce this at some point. So I don't think it's a huge surprise that kind of thing would be announced at E3. Gears of War 5 is another game I don't think is too shocking. I think we all talked about this.
Yeah, it's kind of time for that, I think.
I definitely... Well, this is the thing I keep hearing is people saying the opposite. And like... I need to ask this question, okay, and I need to find out this. When did everybody suddenly hate Gears?
I know, like when?
I don't get that. Other than my responses of usual, because Microsoft and people,
But Gears was like beloved, like everyone loved those games, and now everyone's like, oh, it's too soon for Gears 5. Well, it's not really. Gears 4 was a couple of years ago. It's kind of the right time for Gears 5, isn't it?
Yep.
I'm only surprised that Halo 6 isn't on this list. Like, Nicola, I know you play Gears. Why does everyone hate Gears now?
I don't know. I mean, my initial thought is the same as Gary's.
I'm well up for another Gears. I'd be interested to see what they do.
I think maybe
someone just agree with me?
Yeah, did you?
I'm shocked.
Mark it down, Gary. Get calendar out, mark it down. I think possibly because there's this whole discussion around the Xbox and how it doesn't really have anything new and exclusive to it, and perhaps the idea that there's Gears 5, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think... I mean, to be honest, I haven't seen any negativity about Gears of War 5 at all, but it's possibly maybe people are like, Gears of War 5 really, when really what people want Xbox to announce are brand new, interesting titles, not their stock franchises. Maybe.
But Microsoft literally have a studio who make Gears of War games. Like I've completely spaced on the name of them, but you know who I mean, the Coalition. Yeah. So like 2 years is probably about time. But people who hate that are certainly not going to like the fact that, well, the listing actually says Forza Horizons 5, which means they've either skipped 4 and gone straight to 5, or it's a typo and it's Forza Horizon 4, which again I think is no surprise whatsoever. What is a surprise is Just Cause 4.
Do you think that's a surprise?
I don't remember.
I don't think any of the series has ever done well. Done all right,
I don't know. I think 2 did pretty well for itself. There was attention for it. I think 3 is... I love 3. Like, I don't think it's
great. Yeah.
I don't think 4 is... There's a bigger surprise on this for me on this list.
Let's just get to it. I've left it till last. Rage 2.
Yeah. Like... holy fuck! Like,
and can we just say this? The Canada leak may have been like, oh, is it confirmed? Like Bethesda have been definitely teasing since this Rage 2's. And in actual fact, as of time of recording, I'm almost sure that it's going to be announced on Monday the 14th. Like, that is when they are going to announce. Yeah, they've brought it forward. They're going to announce Rage 2.
They all have 514, which, we know it's the wrong way around, but, I've noticed you've deleted one off this list as well.
Have I? I thought that was a game. I thought it was already announced. Lego Villains.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, they haven't announced it.
Okay. But Warner always announce a couple of games at E3, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Just purely because I'm interested in that one, and I know I'm probably the only one, but I'd be interested in that one.
Well, Rage 2 though. Rage 2.
Yeah.
How are we feeling? What's the temperature of the room here?
Get in.
Rage was great.
Yeah, I agree.
Really enjoyed Rage.
But I think when I first played Rage, like, I didn't really hear anybody tell me to play it or anything. I just kind of picked it up for real cheap. And I remember being so surprised by it. I thought it was a load of fun. I thought it looked great. And I thought the actual gameplay was as tight as what Destiny is. Like, the shooting was crazy tight.
The shooting was amazing.
It was really good. And I like if this is true, I'm all for it. Like we all said, we all are just there. But it's cool to see them bringing it after all this time, if it is going to happen. Because I don't...
As long as it's not at the expense of Doom 2 being another year away.
But I don't know...
I feel like Bethesda are trying to position themselves as a company with, say... What was the game? So Dishonored and Prey are that kind of game. They're a certain kind of Bethesda game.
Yeah.
And I feel like they keep alternating them. And then I thought it was going to be Wolfenstein and Doom that were going to alternate. And now you throw Rage in there.
But, do you really, I'm okay without a Doom for another...
I'm not. No, I'm not.
I don't know how different it can be for them.
It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, but at the same time, if they come out with Doom 2...
mate, I would have sold my soul for some single-player DLC for that game.
Yeah, DLC, but if you get another, 20-hour game and it's pretty much the same thing again... Are you going to be like, that was just amazing? I think Doom came out and it was such a surprise. We were all like, holy shit, it's actually amazing.
I think you're massively misunderstanding how much I like that Doom reboot thing. That game was like shooting. Same. That's up there with Titanfall 2 for me in terms of modern shooters.
But I feel that Doom that came out is Doom 2. I honestly didn't expect it to be that good. And that's where I'm kind of like, okay, I would have thought Doom would have come out. I would have been, it's really good. It has a lot of fun. I think the sequel they're going to nail. But I think they've nailed everything already. That's just my opinion though. But look, if Doom 2 gets announced, I'm getting it day one. That's straight up it. But I can wait. Rage 2 is more...
It's certainly... Yeah, Rage 2 is certainly a surprise. I'd be interested to see what they do with it. But there's a nice few games there. Some online, some off. Lots of stuff to do there. Nintendo do online, don't they? Well, they're going to. The interestingly named Nintendo Switch Online service has been detailed a little bit. Can someone else just do this story? Because it makes me sad.
Well, I'm just going to jump in and say that to put a feature of cloud saves is now part of this is utter dog shit.
Can I just quickly jump in then? Isn't that what PlayStation does? Can't you only get cloud saves back up if you've got PlayStation Plus?
Yeah, you have to pay to get them, but so you don't on Xbox.
Yeah, that one, a bit devil's advocate there, but it's kind of, they're not the first people to do that. I don't agree with it. Obviously.
But should we just... I'll just give you the rundown. Okay, so... While games like Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Tennis, blah, 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 will require a paid subscription, some games will not. It will depend on the developer and the implementation. Pricing is going to be $3.99 a month, $7.99 a quarter, $20 a year, or $34.99 for a family plan. Meaning, yes, if you want to play, your friends or your family have got accounts on your Switch, they will need their own subscription, or you need to have a family plan to allow them to pay. some games will require the paid subscription. Come on.
That's the weird part. Really.
And in case you were worried, by the way, everyone, you will sadly still need to use the Nintendo Switch Online app for various things in games like Splatoon 2.
That's awful. Yeah. That's poor. And I think the lack of the Virtual Console is just...
They're not doing it, yeah. They're not doing the Virtual Console. The Virtual Console is finished. It's gone. That's an old thing. They're not doing that again.
Yeah. And so they have announced that they're bringing out on launch day, there's 20 plus games, if I'm right.
Dr. Mario, Balloon Fight, Super Mario Bros. 3, Donkey Kong, Ice Climber, The Legend of Zelda, Mario Bros. Soccer, Super Mario Bros. And more. And there will be either co-op multiplayer or online competitive multiplayer with more features, and every classic NES title will have voice chat via that online mobile app. Yeah. And these games can also be played offline. We've waited a year and a half for this.
It's not good. I can't see it lasting if this is the plan, though. Like, I don't think anyone is really going to sign up just to play Mario Kart Online, because just bring your Switch around or something. Like, that's what people do. When was the last time anyone played Mario Kart Online here? Like, I haven't at all. Like,
when I reviewed it.
Yeah, do you know? And I'm not going to pay to it. Maybe people who play Splatoon, like, that's kind of like the biggest one, I think. But then I think the no Virtual Console that's what we said would be the big seller. If they announce this and it's $20 or whatever a year, you get all these games as time comes out. Like, cool. Like, it's so Nintendo. It's so fucking Nintendo to do this. It's like they're just not giving us what we say. Like, and it's weird. It's really, really weird.
It's disappointing. And I think if anyone else did it, there'd be a lot more articles being written about it, quite honestly. Should we move on, or does anyone want to dwell on this? So
I think the silence kind of speaks for it. Really.
I think everyone's just pissed off, but there you go. Let's stick with Switch stuff, though, because there's always Switch stuff happening, and Capcom have announced that Monster Hunter Double Cross is actually going to be localized for the West, and it's going to be called Monster Hunter Generations on Ultimate. I think this is interesting, and the reason I say that is because I think everyone's on about Monster Hunter World's this amazing game that's brought everyone who might have loved it does love Monster Hunter now. You know, it's like Nicola, Adam, myself, all three of us had thought about Monster Hunter in the past but never got into it. The reason I say that is that Double Cross or Generations Ultimate is not like World. It is more of an old style Monster Hunter game, and the thing that people actually want is Monster Hunter World on Nintendo Switch. Mm-hmm. But I think this, because of that, feels a little bit off. Because it's just a cheap, easy port for them to make. They've got to localise it. Nothing's easy, but they just got to localise it and release it. And I wonder how many people are going to buy it thinking it's like World and getting not that.
Well, if you go in thinking I might get World out of this, then that's just silly. But I will say that Generations, I played that for a bit, and it is a good game.
Absolutely.
In terms of the game, because it's obviously clearly showing that they just can't port World. It's obviously too powerful.
Oh, they definitely can't.
It's the question I've been asking, why can't they? But there they go. They've said it in this way. This is as close we can get for you. I think it's interesting, and I'm sure that you can bring your old save or something over if you've played Generations. There's something like that going on, but it's a good game, but it won't be anywhere near the quality of World.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suggest you buy a better game. Well, I think a better game, Dead Cells, because just a couple of quick announcements for release dates. Dead Cells is basically coming to retail. It exits PC's early access in August, so that's when the game is out, and you're going to get your Switch, PS4, all those versions. And listen, fucking play that game. Now it's going to be available on all consoles. Play that game.
Adam.
Yeah.
Is it perfect?
No, I said it.
I'm
not going to say it on the podcast. I said it on Twitter. That's as much as you're getting out of me. PES 2019 is coming out on August the 30th, and the reason I want to mention that is it's significant because it is significantly earlier than normal. Now, we don't know anything about EA's effort yet, apart from the fact there's a World Cup add-on coming to it for the World Cup. which I wonder if it impacted EA's development, or they want to release FIFA 19 later. So PES are getting out way early, August 30th. I think early access on the 28th. I think that's interesting. We'll know more about PES soon, I'm sure, but, just thought it's worth mentioning. Before then, we hit up now listener correspondence. Matt King at Kinger_8938. Recently returned to the PS4 and playing catch-up. Kind of want a JRPG in my life. Tempted to finally try the Kingdom Hearts collection. Is the series worth a try with 3 on the way? I'm going to straight away say no.
I'm going to straight away say no.
What I'll say is play Battle Chasers. It's a JRPG. It's just not made in Japan. But play it.
I mean, I'd say Persona 5 or Ni no Kuni. I think probably if you want a JRPG.
I think Kingdom Hearts, if you have a big passion for Disney, it will definitely work in your favour. You don't actually have to have a big passion for Disney, but I only tried Kingdom Hearts. I've tried to start Kingdom Hearts, I think, 3 times.
At least,
And the intro of that game bores me so much. It's just a classic fetch quest on an island, and you just want the game to get going. You want a story.
Yep.
Oh man, it's so dull, and it takes quite a bit of time. I've heard, I have friends who absolutely adore the series, but I'm just not one of them, sadly.
I've never played one, so I can't really say.
No, I mean, I played one of them through when they originally came out, but there's that many of them now. I don't know what it was or when it was. Let's ask Nicola this question then from Darren at ROTMM. Why are Sony still so determined to hold their E3 presser, his words not mine, presser, at a Europe-unfriendly time? Back in the day it wasn't so important as we read about them, but now with social media and conferences being streamed, it seems weird to ignore largest PlayStation market.
I have no idea.
Why? No, that's it really, isn't it?
I have no idea. I mean... I don't know. I don't know what the decision...
No, I'm with you.
I don't know what the decision-making process is.
I mean, none of them are particularly... Microsoft is, but isn't theirs later this year as well? It's normally around about 5-6 o'clock UK time.
I think
Ubisoft is normally about 8 or 9.
A bit later as well, though, because they moved it.
Oh, is it?
It's like
maybe.
They moved it forward a day, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I think they did it. It was kind of like 9 o'clock something over here or whatever.
Okay.
But that kind of time doesn't bother me, and even the Ubisoft ones when I don't know if they're earlier this year or not, but they were like
the same one. They sort of 8 o'clock.
Yeah, because I mean they used
8 or
to be
9.
Yeah, I'm like, but even when they were like 11 o'clock, I didn't mind too much because it'd still sort of finish at a relatively friendly time. But with Sony and Bethesda as well, Bethesda's is at 2:30 in the morning, and that's I'm sure that's 2 or 3 days before E3. It's you've not got to account for a show or anything like that, so fucking move it.
I mean, I will say I haven't stayed up for a Sony E3 conference for, I think, 3 years now, and that won't be changing this year. It's too late. I am not getting any younger. I can't stay up that late, and what's the point? I'll watch it on demand.
Is it to minimise coverage? If it's done while
coverage, would you?
Europe's asleep, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Only they know.
Yeah. I'll be able to watch it at a decent time.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually
that's why you moved, obviously.
Yeah, for E3. But I have stayed up every year for the Sony one, and it is an absolute struggle.
Yeah. Well, I think last year I went to bed and set an alarm because I was like, fuck it, I'll get a couple of hours sleep and then watch it.
Oh, fuck that. No, sorry.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I wish I hadn't. Well, definitely last year, because all they did was show the same games that they showed the year before. Like exactly the same. And then none of them were out. But hopefully they won't do that this year. They can't do that this year, but...
Well, they probably can. Chris Hyde wants to know if any of us can do a Gollum impression.
No.
Is anyone brave enough to try it?
Not at all. Never
am
I brave enough to do these things.
No.
I can't.
Not unless you want to hear a coughing fit.
I'm trying to think how he sounds. I haven't seen the films for a while.
Oh, I know what you're trying to do, Adam Cook. You know how he sounds. You know how he sounds.
If you could remind me. I mean,
of course. Yeah.
No.
Isn't he like Yoda? Like, no, he's not like that, is he?
No, it's...
It's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Something like that.
There you go.
It's
I can
very
do the
throaty.
That's about it. I know. The answer's no, Chris. No.
Precious, my precious.
Yeah, that's it. It's a bit like that.
Okay, a bit like that. McPoo on Discord says, "Is there a word or a phrase that instantly turns you off a game? For me, Metroidvania or procedurally generated usually kills any interest in a game I had."
Yeah.
I don't think I have a word or a phrase, but whenever anyone compares a game to Skyrim or it's X bigger than Y, I instantly just I glaze over.
For me, it's survival.
Do you know? I knew you were going to say
sorry,
that.
Nick. But no, it's because it's just like I don't mind the actual, you have to survive against like the elements or whatever. But when it's like, no, you have to eat and drink, I'm like, I do that in real life, and it's boring because all it is eating and drinking. I don't need to do it in a game.
Bloody hell, Gary.
Please stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Walking simulator.
Oh, okay.
And,
fair.
and I say that only because I keep trying to play these games that fit that sort of description, and I just don't think they're for me. I haven't really enjoyed a single one. Every one I've tried has irritated me in some way. So I just think, nah, they're not for me now.
I'll also add that I particularly dislike when I get a lot of emails, obviously, about games from all different people. I'm not going to name and shame anyone, but I particularly dislike it when the subject line of a game is, "Hey, did you like this? Then you'll probably like that." Please don't do that. Please don't try and sell your game by comparing it to a much beloved game that everyone loves. Just let a game speak on its own. Don't try and say, "Hey, that game we've actually got nothing to do with. We're a bit like that." Because, don't do that. Adam, anything from you?
I get really turned off by 99% of indie games being called pretty.
Okay.
It's just a very. I find whenever there's like indie games being discussed, if it opens about saying, "I've played this, let's get out of the way straight away. It's a very pretty game," means it's very pretty, but it's also quite shit. And I think it just gets said quite a bit, like the prettiness of games and
Chiptunes. What about chiptunes?
Chiptunes.
Yeah, when someone says, "Oh, the game's got chiptunes,"
No, I wouldn't hear that much really. Just the pretty thing just kind of annoys me.
RPG-like
roguelike,
features.
yeah, kind of thing.
Or roguelike, yeah.
It's like Dark Souls.
Oh, well, it sounds like
How often
it's
do you
sort
hear
of under
that?
that umbrella of comparing to something else. I'll decide if I think it's like another game. I don't need, the people selling me the game to tell me what it's like. I'll have a look. That is a podcast for this week. Thank you ever so much for listening. Thank you to Nicola, to Adam, and to Gary for being here. I will do their Twitter handles quickly. It's at @wavy_gravy for all your Conan Exiles penis needs. At Adam Zokes for all your wrestling needs. That's a bit unfair, but you don't tweet that much about wrestling. And I'm going to say at Blue Fury 47 for all your Eurovision needs, because although I suspect Gary has never watched Eurovision, hey, got to stay topical with that Eurovision. I'm at GBSF, and of course at God is a Geek, and just type God is a Geek into anything and you'll find whatever social media you want. Also, very quickly, patreon.com/God is a Geek. For $1 a month, you get every podcast early and extended, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 15, sometimes more than that. Lucky you. Early videos, exclusive videos, and again, generally just, look into the sort of back end of the site and our own private Discord channel. Thank you, guys, for being here once more.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I am going to go and lay down and hope this passes. This thing just passes. This torturous back pain passes. Thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Goodbye for now.